One of my goals for this channel is to provide information to help you budget successfully. And part of that is finding the right tools for budgeting. So today we're reviewing yet another budgeting app called DOS Budgets, and it came highly recommended by one of you. So let's get into it. Okay, so when you open up the app, the first tab on the bottom here is called Accounts. And this is where you can actually hook up your bank accounts to your DOS Budget app. Now the thing is, I'm going to say right off the bat, this is not a good budgeting app if you're looking for a free budgeting app. They have a couple different subscription options. One is standard DOS Budget features, where you can import transactions from different bank accounts. You can have a joint budget, pretty simple overall. That starts at $3.99 per month. DOS Premium is what I signed up for this video. Within Premium, there's a number of features that I'll talk about in more detail, but they include credit card integration roundups, automatic transaction imports, which is the same as the standard option, joint budgets, transaction refresh credits, which is an interesting feature that I've never seen in a budgeting app before, but basically it allows you to refresh your transaction data up to 10 times per 30 days. DOS Premium starts at $6.99 per month. And just for clarity's sake, when you actually choose one of those plans, then it shows other plans within Premium or Standard. So within Premium, you can do one linked institution for $6.99 per month, two linked institutions for $7.49 per month, and it keeps going up. Basically, it's an increase of 50 cents per institution that you want to connect to your DOS Budget account. But I mean, if you do most of your banking and like credit card information through one institution, then it's not that bad because you just link that one institution, you only pay the $6.99 per month. But I did want to get that out of the way right off the bat because you pretty much have to pay for a subscription if you want to make this useful. They do give you a 30-day free trial, which is nice if you just want to test it out. Now, once you've gotten a subscription set up, you can actually add an account to your DOS Budget app. Now right here, I just have a checking account set up, but it does support a checking account, a savings account, a certificate of deposit, and credit card integration. Okay, the next tab here at the bottom is called Buckets, and it's broken up into three types of buckets: expenses, goals, and vaults. The difference between the three is that expenses is basically a way for you to create different expense buckets that are used every month. So say for internet, you can create an internet expense budget, and that'll allow you to save into that expense budget whatever you need for the coming month. Those expense buckets can then be linked to transactions that come into your checking account. Goals is the types of buckets that allow you to save for larger purchases or events that are coming up. So like vacation, you can create a vacation goals bucket. And similar to the expenses buckets, the goals buckets allow you to link transactions that come into your checking account to specific goals. And then vaults are buckets that are created for larger expenses that are coming up that you want to save for and are linked to your savings account. Basically, I see this as a way for you to take money that's within your savings account and split it up across other expenses that may be coming up. So one example may be if you have an emergency fund that you have set aside in a savings account, then you could create a vaults bucket for your emergency fund. And then as money comes into your savings account, you can split that up across your emergency fund vault bucket or some other vault bucket that you have set up. Now you can tell that it's only linked to savings accounts because here in the free to save, it has $0 because I don't have a savings account hooked up to my DOS Budget app. But when you go to goals and expenses, then it shows the full nearly $5,000 that is in the free to spend. Now, one example I'd like to show you within the expenses area is creating a grocery fund. Okay, so I'm going to type in here groceries. You can assign it to a group if you want. I don't have a group set up, but I can create a group. So let's say food. Save. Choose food. Now here under balances, we can turn the current into the amount that we want to put into this bucket. I'll just say $500. And then target to the right here is where you can put in the target amount that you want to save into this. In my opinion, this is entirely going to depend on how you budget. So for us, we tend to budget from the beginning of the month everything that's going into a specific fund. Like groceries, we just budget out the full $500. But if you're saving like a quarter of that into that bucket every week, then you're gonna be doing probably $125 with the target of $500. I'm just gonna keep it simple this time and put in 500 for the target as well. Now when we go down here, you can set a due date for the amount that you're trying to save into that bucket. So you can change that to weekly, monthly. It's got several different options that you can choose from, which is nice. Then if you go into funding, this is where you can create a funding schedule for the groceries. So like I said before, if you're saving, say, $125 per week, so that you hit that $500 by the end of the month, you can create a funding schedule where you're saving that $125 per week. Then if you're getting paid on a weekly basis, then it'll save a portion of each paycheck into your groceries instead of saving $500 of your first paycheck into the groceries fund. Honestly, I like this feature because if you live paycheck to paycheck, this makes keeping track of the money that you have much easier because you don't get your full month's paycheck on the first of the month. You get paid every other week or every week, so you have to account for that regular money coming in along with the respective due dates of those bills that you have. So this just makes it easier to keep track of everything throughout the month. We'll say groceries, and I'm just gonna say on the first of the month, we're just gonna put in the full amount. If you do it this way, basically you just have to make sure that you have enough buffer in your checking account to fully fund each account that you have set up to fully fund at the beginning of the month. Now here at the bottom, it allows you to save your contribution based on whether you want to set aside a target amount of money or if you just want to reach the target balance. We'll leave it on set target amount, and we'll leave budget type to an expense. Here you can change the status of the groceries bucket to active or pausing it. We'll leave it active, but basically that just allows you to pause funding a bucket for the month for whatever reason. One silly example would be if you've been saving for Christmas all year long and you just want 1 month off of saving for Christmas, then in January you can just pause that bucket. And then any set funding schedule will just pause for that month. Or let's say you have a large expense that you found out that you have coming up in the following month. You can just pause that for the time being until you take care of that larger expense. Okay, we're gonna save this expense. And here at the bottom in the recent activity, it shows that it has now transferred $500 from free to spend, which is the amount that it saw in our checking account, to the groceries fund. So if we go back here to expenses, then it will now show that our free to spend is $500 less than what our checking account shows because we've now moved $500 over into our groceries bucket. Now if we go to our third tab here at the bottom, we can see transactions that are coming into our checking account, and we can assign them to different expense categories or goal categories or whatever. So this one right here is from Meyer. It's $112. Now, it can set the category to groceries based on the information that's coming from the bank, but we can now go into the spending from category and change it from the free to spend and put it in groceries. Now, if we go back to our buckets tab, then it shows us an updated amount within our groceries bucket of $387.31. I really like how easy it is to assign transactions to different buckets. Now, one quick note about this. If you find value in this kind of review, then hit the like button because that really helps. Now, if we go to goals and we create a bucket for goals, let's just say that this is for vacation. We'll skip the group for right now, but we'll say that our current amount that we're hoping to save is $150, and we'll say the target amount is $2,000. All right, chill out. You can definitely go on a vacation for $2,000. Now let's set the due date to August 1st. We'll set the monthly to every month, and we'll hit save. Now here at the bottom, it shows that the $150 has been transferred from our free to spend into our vacation fund, and we're ready to go for our savings. Now last tab, if we go to Vault and create an emergency fund Vault bucket, we're actually going to set our current amount to 0, and we're going to say our target amount is, I don't know, $20,000. If it's like a 6-month emergency fund. We'll leave the due date blank this time and just say save. Now if we go back, we can see our emergency fund bucket within the vault. And then if we go to activity and we actually see a deposit within the savings account, then we can just tap on that and add that to our emergency fund vault bucket. Now I'm sorry I can't show this to you because I don't have a savings account actually set up with this, but you'd basically do that the same way that we've been doing the rest of these transactions. Then when vacation transactions actually come in, you can just set those to vacation. And then when we go back to vacation buckets, then it shows that we have $30 left in vacation. Now obviously if we've saved up the full $2,000 and we're on vacation now, then it's going to show much more than that. But that still allows you within the goals to set certain transactions to come out of your vacation fund. Now, one cool thing about this budget app is that it allows you to integrate your credit card transactions into your budget. Now, I don't use credit cards, so I can't actually show you how this integration works. But from what I'm seeing on their website, you can basically take transactions that are coming in on your credit card and earmark it for certain categories. Then when the actual credit card bill is paid, it pulls the money for each of those individual transactions out of the respective buckets that you earmarked for those transactions. I'm not gonna lie, so far through all the budgeting apps that I've reviewed, this may be one of the best ones that I've seen in terms of their credit card integration. Now, obviously this isn't me speaking from experience, but just the way that they handle these transactions going into specific buckets, it's pretty easy. So I think the credit card integration would be very similar. Now, if you tap this up here, it'll allow you to move money to different buckets. So you can move money from your free to spend, or you can move money from, say, vacation into groceries. Since we have $30 available to transfer, then we'll just do that. So now vacation shows 0 in the balance, but if you go to expenses, it shows $30 more within the groceries fund. This just makes it easier to move money around during the month based on what's going on in that month. If grocery transactions are much more expensive than you were expecting this month, then it allows you to move some money from other buckets into that one if you need some. Now, if we go to the last tab over here, it shows a couple options. One is budgets. You can create different types of budgets. So this may be a personal budget, but you can create a business budget. And then you can switch between those two budgets within this app. But you can also add a joint account owner to this. So like I can add my wife Bailey to this so that she can download the budget app, and then we can budget together, which is super fun. She probably wouldn't say so, but at least then she can get into the budget and add transactions and stuff if she goes to the grocery store or fills up her tank with fuel. Love the joint account feature. Last thing that I want to note is here in the roundups, you can actually create roundups so that every transaction that comes in rounds up to the nearest dollar and puts that rounded up amount into a bucket that you want. And you can change the amount that it rounds up. So right here, it allows you to do $1 up to $10. And it'll let me choose the existing goal that I want to add that money to. So if I have transactions coming in, then I can have that rounded up amount go into vacation. I like this feature a lot because I've seen this in bank accounts quite a bit, but I've never seen this within a budgeting app. It actually makes it easier to save for something like a vacation, especially if you are rounding up every transaction to the nearest dollar. Maybe not a lot, but it does help. Overall, I'm gonna say I like this app. I don't think it's the simplest of all the budgeting apps that I've reviewed, but it is pretty clean and it adds some features that I don't see in a lot of other budgeting apps, like the roundups for one. But the integration across different types of accounts, whether savings, credit card, or checking, really seems pretty good. And since you can have a 1 month free trial, then it allows you to at least test it out a bit. Now let me know in the comments down below if you think that this is something that's worth trying. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see more fintech reviews like budgeting apps and bank accounts and cashback debit cards. And if you want to see my comparison of 8 other budgeting apps where I break down pros, cons, features, and prices, then check out this video next.